We're here at the World Economic Forum and we're here at the Congress Center. There's a lot of talk about what countries need to do, what the world needs to do at large. But what about the youth? What are they thinking about? What are they talking about? What are their challenges and what are they working on? And what is it that they need to work on? And who better than Natalie Pierce, Head of Global Shapers Community here at the World Economic Forum, joining me today to talk about exactly that. Natalie, great to have you on the show.
Thank you
so much. The youth. No one's talking about them. What do they need to do? And what are they worried about right now?
Well, I have to challenge that narrative a little bit.
Okay.
Because that's my job.
Yes,
I work at the World Economic Forum, particularly on our institution's youth strategy. So here in Davos this week, we have 40 young change makers who are participating in the convenings to make sure that the youth agenda is at the forefront of world leaders' minds this week. They belong to the community of global shapers, 10,000 young change makers around the world who want to make a difference in their communities and who want to drive forward global agendas. So youth are here. They're going to be loud this week.
And they will be heard, thanks to you.
I hope so.
So, what do they want as a message to go across to the world leaders present here?
In our Youth Pulse report, we asked them across multiple dimensions, from the economic outlook to the political outlook, social, technological, and climate. So maybe let's talk about what's on the forefront of many people's minds, the economic outlook. We asked young people, what are the key economic trends for 2026 and beyond that are on their minds? At the forefront, half of all global respondents, half of all global respondents said the key economic trend shaping the future for young people is going to be inequality. So on the forefronts of their mind, they feel like this may be the generation that's not going to be as well off as their parents. They feel like the social contract may be broken, that progress may be halted for their generation. So for millennials and Gen Z, there's economic worry and there's stress. But on the flip side, there's also optimism. In Southeast Asia, in Africa, the key economic trend actually wasn't inequality. In these specific regions, there was more hope and optimism. There's a focus on entrepreneurship as being the great equalizer for young people, creating their own pathways into economic prosperity, their own pathways into careers and jobs, and feeling the sense of agency and autonomy over their economic future.
So that's very interesting that you talk about that they're worrying about whether they're going to be as economically well off as their previous generations. What does that fear emerge out of? Is it because of job insecurity? Is it about skilling? What is it that they think is the real reason as to why there is so much disparity in the world?
I think for this generation, there's a few angles to talk about. One, you mentioned it. I think their biggest concern is equitable pathways into meaningful employment. And what we're seeing across many industries is a rollback of entry-level careers. This week, we'll be talking, of course, about what's the impact of AI on early career functions.
I was going to come to that,
So I think this entry into jobs, into decent work, into well-paid work is really the top concern. The second concern, and we see this in the findings of our report, is really about quality education, and quality education that is aligned with labor market demand. So what I study is that what's going to actually be
of use and make me money.
A source of employment. And then the third concern that we see, of course, is making sure that we have access to affordable housing and financial security. And I think what young people are saying is you need to have a decent job to live and to work, and you need to be able to afford where you live. And that is really what's at the core of progress for this generation. But of course, we can also talk about climate concerns. We can talk about the action they want to see socially. So there's a lot, I think, on the youth agenda.
Right. But, since you did talk about AI, Natalie, the question really is, what is the youth, or rather, how is the youth thinking about AI? While it does make them productive, are they not confident that AI is actually going to skill them better for the future?
This is the crux of the AI question, right?
It is.
Its impact on young people. So first and foremost, I think we surveyed 5,000 young people across 100 countries. One piece of data that I found resounding, over 60% of the young people we surveyed, regardless of region, industry, background, are already using AI in their daily lives. So young people are really at the forefront of that technological transformation. They're utilizing it, they're designing it, they're making sure that it works in their daily lives and for their needs. But there's a tremendous amount of skepticism and concern. We know, of course, there's great labor market risks for entry-level positions with AI. But the concerns are beyond employment. The concerns are also around privacy, around the use of it, how it's going to be governed, how does it bring people together versus widen the inequality gap that we talked about at the top of this session. So there's concern, there's hope, there's optimism. And actually, tomorrow there'll be a great session on hyperconnectivity, and this generation is also one of the most lonely. So AI, we're more connected than ever before, and that young people at the same time are feeling more disconnected, which I don't think AI is going to close that gap.
Not at all.
So I think that's also on their minds.
Yeah, that's so interesting, and that just throws up so many questions in my mind as well. But before that, really, you did talk about jobs. What does the youth really want to do? Is there any data which sort of you have which can narrow down on what kind of jobs does the youth of today want to land up with in, say, the next 5 years from now?
I think that's such a great question, and the World Economic Forum, of course, publishes its Future of Jobs report, which talks about where are the jobs, and where is the greatest growth. And so, what do we know? Of course, AI and technology is the greatest area of growth and new opportunities for young people. The second industry is actually in green tech, in climate solutions, in renewable energy, that space. And so for our community, one thing that's magical about the Global Shapers community is our members are from every industry. They're working across government, across business, across civil society. So I don't think it's a specific industry, though we mentioned two at the top where we know there'll be the greatest number of opportunities. I think what matters to young people is that they have the freedom to choose the economic path that matches their purpose. What we see in the findings of this report, what are the three things young people really want from their jobs? One is that sense of purpose. Two is the sense that I can do my job and get paid for it. So is it remunerated? And that third is flexibility. So I think for careers, young people just want to know they can pursue their passion. There's equal opportunities for all, and that they'll be paid for it.
Yeah, that's so interesting. But, again, coming down to AI, do they really feel that AI can sort of help resolve the job issues? Or is it more fear right now that AI is going to eat into their jobs?
It's more fear.
Yeah.
And that's what the findings of our report shared. And I think especially what do we see in the most vulnerable sectors where AI is coming in to play a predominant role to either optimize processes, to do core functions that young people once did. Research, coordination, project management. Those are some of the core functions that will be replaced by AI. So when we hear this week conversations about the effects of AI on the job market, we need to be listening particularly to the effects on early entry careers, to young people, to apprenticeships, to things like internships, because those are the launch pads that enter young people into the labor market and set them up for success in the long term.
Just very quickly, lastly, curious to know what the new gen is thinking about when it comes to climate. And again, the thought process and what they speak about is one thing, but are they actually actively getting conscious about making those climate conscious calls?
Our report says yes. So what does our report say? I find this to be interesting. Previous generations have only learned of the climate emergency now. But for young people, the climate emergency, they've
it's something they're living in.
Exactly. It's a generational consciousness around what's the future of our planet. And for young people, I think two things are true. They feel the urgency of economic insecurity now, but they know, similarly, our planet is facing an equal emergency. I think young people are pragmatic, though, and they know that without sustainable climate action, we're only going to face an even greater economic crisis. So young people have said we want to prioritize meaningful climate action, and we're willing to put our money where our mouth is and to make consumer choices accordingly. And in our report, they said that when young people are making those purchasing choices, climate is on the top of those concerns. Affordability is also on the top of those concerns, but they're making those choices in tandem with both the economics and the climate angle in mind. And I think they're calling on world leaders to do the same.
Yeah.
It's not enough to say a moment of insecurity is preventing planetary resilience in the long term.